Right. So, hello everyone, and welcome back to Satisfactory, where we are building our supercomputer factory. And last time we had made up to circuit boards. Now I see a lot of yellow. So, first step is to fix what we've built already. And you are short on rubber. Alright, so where is the rubber shortage coming from? It's not going to be limited belt throughput in this region, at least. It might be further back. So we go back to here. And I guess the first thing we should ask is how much rubber is supposed to be on this belt and how much is there. So we're going to start with a throughput monitor. Just pop it there. And then while that scans, we're going to figure out how much it should be. So this is 20-ish per machine. And there are 4 machines per group. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups. So it's 24 times 20. Should be 480. Or slightly less than that. Instead it is 370. Okay, is it just me, or has the formatting on my notes changed entirely? That text is bigger than it was. Weird, but okay. Just gonna ignore that for now. So, if that's 370 and it should be 480, we are missing 110-ish. Now let's see if that's being limited somewhere. 370 isn't an obvious number. It's not like, you know, if it were 270, that would mean we had a Mark III belt somewhere where it wasn't supposed to be. Okay, so these are getting fed from here. And we have these 2 belts outputting to these 3 belts. So, these are supposed to be even. So let's monitor all of them and see if they are actually even. And they look like they aren't. We have 480, 515, and 370. Okay, so that's a bit weird. I was pretty confident that this balancer worked. So let's figure that out again. We have 1 on each of these. Actually, let's put balancers on these too, see if they're even. That might also be part of the problem. Although the missed balancing is probably a significant portion of it. Let's see, how much rubber is it supposed to be? And is this all of the rubber in the entire thing? No, it isn't. It's just a specific amount of rubber. Alright, so these 2 aren't even. How much is that? 713 plus 652 is 1365 rubber. So that's leaving like 280-ish, 270 on for the other place. But that's probably fine, right? I don't see why that would be an issue. So, first of all, we need to figure out why these 2 numbers aren't balanced. And before that, let's get this balanced. So, we have 1 there, 1 there. We're going to assume they're equal. I mean, they're close enough-ish. And they're not unequal enough that this should be less. than both outsides. If it were working properly, the splitter, then this one, which is slightly higher, would mean this one is slightly higher than this one, which would be slightly higher than that one. But that's not what's happening. So let's get label signs in. So this, we're going to call all these rubber, and then this is 1, because we're just talking about proportions here. So we have 1 there and 1 there, proportionally. Now this splits in half. So that means that this is 0.5, and this is 0.5, and that is 0.5, and that is 0.5. Alright, so here we have 0.5 plus 0.5, which means that this is 1. Then here, oh, is this the problem? I bet that's the problem, because that is a Mark I belt right there. So if that's 1, then each of these is a third. And I don't know, let's see, they might just balance out here. At least somewhat. The center should be equal to like the average of the outside 2, I think, is how this would work. Because these are each a third, and a third is then divided into 2, which is a sixth. Added to a half is 4/6 there. And it's symmetrical, so there's 4/6 over there. And then the remaining 4/6 go in there. Alright, so yes, we have reached a point where this is the average of the outside 2. But obviously there is another problem with it, which is that the inputs aren't equal. So we've improved it slightly, and we're going to have to make that same improvement everywhere we use this thing. Where are you? And there you go. And I think those are the only places I've used it so far. And with these, let's also get throughput monitors on all of these. And then on all of the outputs. Like so. Alright, so yeah, this is stabilized, but it's stabilized to the wrong number. Meanwhile, these are also all a bit wobbly. Like this one is up to 750, whereas this near one is only 714. And the outputs are correspondingly not quite consistent. Alright, so let's deal with the rubber first, since it was actually a problem causing yellow machines. So, this one is 712, that one is 653. How much is this supposed to be, actually? So this is rubber going into circuit boards. So we need... Where's the circuit boards? We need 356.25 circuit boards. And it's this recipe. So it's 3.5625 is 1,425 rubber. 1,425 rubber is 1,425 minus 653 is 782. Alright, so we are, like, what, 70 short. So, over here to the rubber, and what is going on? What is going on with you? So we need 1,435. Is this... Did I just see this back up every so often? It's hard to say. Alright, maybe I'm crazy, but that looks like it is occasionally backing up. So, let's figure this out. So we have our two belts of 7... Oh, this is another one of these things? Yes, this is another one of these things, and that's definitely going to be the thing causing that problem. So you get to be a Mark V belt, and I hope that that's fine. Yeah, it should be fine. Not doing any speed balancing just yet. So that should make these two belts equal to the correct number. Wait, is that even right? Is that even right? Is this whole setup... Okay, what was this setup? Did I have a sign here explaining this somewhere? I could have sworn that I had written this down. Also, why are you backing up on QuickWire? That's probably fine. Oh, probably because we're not using it all here and is just getting extras. Alright, yeah, we don't have to worry about that. Let's go back to staring at this for a second. So we have two belts of probably 780, if I had to guess. Okay, God, the splitting on this is crazy. So yeah, so we have these two belts, which are both going to be 780-ish. And they go in here. And then they split across these into three equal belts of 480. I remember that happening. Then we take our belts of 480, we drop one down to 465, was it? We're taking 15 out here. I think, because this is a two-way split, so that's 30, that's 30, that's 15, that's 15. Yes, so we're taking 15 out and cycling it back in here, which means that only 465 can go through this belt. I think that's how that works. Although it might just be... Okay, no, it definitely is, because 15 is going... Because this belt is 480. 15 is going that way. 465 is coming this way. Now, the 465 is split two ways into this belt and this belt. So if both of those belts were 480, then this would be two evenly balanced belts. Now let's see, now that we've fixed that one problem, yes, now that we put that faster belt in, these are both 712, 713, which is the correct amount. These are all 476. And that should be that problem resolved. Alright. So, how are you doing? You are up to 8 and then down to 4. Yeah, so that, I mean, that looks fine, right? So, if that problem doesn't exist anymore, is there enough petroleum coke? We did this balancing, and all of these are 713 as well. And all of these are 470 some as well, and that checks out. Alright, I think we've fixed it. Let's see here. So, if we've fixed that, then that should be circuit boards done, and we should have 356.25, and this is showing 260, and I assume that this is just... okay. So that's the problem. I remember we'd failed to connect these up on the other side as well. Alright, so we're going to have to connect all of these extra assemblers in. And their production is just so slow that they didn't saturate until now, because it's like less than 5 a minute. So we just have to stick all these mergers in, and then we're going to have a brief burst of a ton of circuit boards, and then things will stabilize again and be normal. So we have to put all these mergers in and then put all the belts in. It's going to be easier to do that one at a time rather than constantly flipping between the two things. Go. There you go. And alright, so that's all in. Now we just have to connect the belts across. And that should bring us up to the correct number. And again, temporarily the throughput will be enormous, because all these are going to be outputting 60 a minute for the next 3 or 4 minutes. But that will fade away pretty soon. Alright, so these belts are all in. And now we just go back and get this row. And just a couple more. So yeah, when we made this blueprint, we upgraded it from a blueprint with 3 machines in it to a blueprint with 4 machines in it, and we forgot to hook the 4th machine up to the output. Alright, so now we are just going to have to cook a while. This is going to show 780 temporarily. But again, should only last 3 or 4 minutes. While all of these drain at 60 a minute and only fill up with 5 a minute. So that should be fun. Also, how many coupons do we have? We're up to a total of 718 coupons. Pretty good. How much is the awesome shop? But the golden nut, where are you? You're 1,000. And we'd really want to have other statues as well. So we've got a long way to go, to say the least. I have to do some crazy stuff in order to get all of those, although I think ballistic warp drives are just like insanely efficient, and we're going to be producing a cartoonishly large amount of them. So that should hopefully push us over the edge. But yeah, the fact that we've been running this long, constantly sinking all of our production, and we're only at 700 some is crazy. Granted, we've also spent a lot, so we might be at more like 800 or even 900. But still, we're going to need a lot more coupons. Alright, so this all looks good. All the machines are green. And should be fine. Now, is petroleum coke saturated in here? It is. Don't know if I like that. I think I'd rather it not be saturated. Might be something we go along and fix just for aesthetic purposes and bug fixing purposes. Let's do it later. The reason that we would want to make that fix is because it would mean that if there is some problem with the petroleum coke, we can spot it earlier, as opposed to waiting for, what, like theoretically, at least 4 or 5 minutes, even if it drops off completely, and then if it only drops by a couple percent, we could be waiting hours for that to drain. So that's why we would want to do that. And I don't know, I guess if it were easier to just like take half a stack out, that would be nice. There's so many machines here though that really the best way to drain them would be to just cut them off at the source temporarily. So if we go back here and let's see here. These are going to be the easiest ones to replace. So if we go back here and we take all of these out. So that will cause the petroleum coke to be temporarily empty. And then we'll come back soon to replace those. And obviously the problem with doing that is that we're going to have to time it correctly. If we want both of these to be completely emptied, the rubber would also have to not back up any, otherwise we would just have the same problem but in a slightly different way. Alright, it does look though like these are starting to even out. So this one no longer has any spare. And this one is rapidly running out of spare production. This one is further back and it's also out. Well, I guess it just outputs directly onto the belt, so maybe that's not surprising. Alright. Really want this to go back down so that I can confirm that this isn't 780 and it is 356 point whatever. Alright. So yeah, we can see that there is currently no petroleum coke on the belts. And the stuff in the machines is going to be consumed at 40 a minute, which should be pretty quick. Just wait another minute or two and these will be nice and low. Alright, this is still going. And this whole back row is stopped. Was this low in petroleum coke to begin with? Yeah, this was already low in petroleum coke and then we cut it off. Alright, well this is actually good, because this can let us sync them all up a little bit. Because that one being much lower on petroleum coke than the others is super weird. So now we can let the rest of them catch up and then start them when they're all at about similar levels of petroleum coke. And then that's gonna cause rubber backup in these machines, which there probably already was. Yeah, we're already up to 100 some rubber here. Well, let's manually get that rubber out of there. And make sure that we don't trade one backup for another. Alright, I have a lot of just random trash taking up inventory slots. Like, it's genuinely most of my inventory at this point. There's very little stuff in the inventory that I actually need. Alright, so then that's all of those that are super low on petroleum coke. Now we can wait for the rest to catch back up. And then once the petroleum coke reserves are equalized, then we can start it back up again. And this has also flushed out all the circuit boards, so that's done. And let's just wait for this randomly chosen machine to be emptied out. And that should be, what, 3 more cycles? No, 2 more cycles, and then there won't be enough to start a third. So there we go. And that should be... So this whole first row, except for that last machine, has emptied out. And then this whole second row is actually doing a lot better for some reason. Yeah, I think doing it this way probably was a mistake. We probably should have just done it manually. But that's fine. We're going to have to go in and do the rubber manually for all the rest of these machines, I think. But it's not so urgent for rubber, because there's less of it. Alright, how are these machines looking? They're just about empty as well. Alright, I think that's going to be good enough. It's not really important to do this anyways. So now we go over here. And we just connect all these back up. And start this running again. And because it's load balanced, this works very quickly. So obviously these ones are closer physically, so they're going to start up a little bit earlier than those ones. And there we go. Those are booted up again. This one is still going. Again, the further the petroleum coke has to go, the longer it takes. But that's started up, and it looks like these have started up as well. Alright. So that's that. Now we should be all good to go, and this just has to warm up to the correct number. And it's going up. It should hit 356, 357. And just have to wait for all this to come through. It's obviously a bit erratic because of just how this works. I wish there was a way to like even out the spacing conveniently. But there really isn't. At least not that I know of. and it wouldn't really accomplish any practical purpose anyways. I mean, you can do it if it like lines up perfectly with a slower belt. Actually, I wonder if that would work. If you split it all into like Mark 1 belts or something, then no, it wouldn't fully work because some of those wouldn't be fully saturated, which would just propagate the problem through. Sorry about that. I had to sneeze real quick. But yeah, so this is showing 356 a minute. And looking out, and I see a bunch of green. So that is pretty cool. So, with that done, we can move on to the next production line, which I believe we're just straight into the things that go directly into the supercomputers. So we have computers and high-speed connectors and AI limiters and plastic into supercomputers. Alright, if I remember correctly, we were using the base computer recipe for this, which is most of the circuit boards, or how many computers do we need? 75. So this is going to be, yeah, 300 circuit boards, 600 cable, 1200 plastic. Alright, so circuit boards are right here. So let's get them started up. What we need to do is we need to make this a smart splitter with center overflow right any, and then we need to take this over here, and then we need to get 300 out of it, which should thankfully be incredibly simple. So all we have to do for that is we have our Mark V belt, and it goes into a splitter. Oh, these aren't going to line up perfectly because that was placed on a belt. Alright, so that goes there. And this we want to be a smart splitter. And we take a Mark III off of it. Then we take another one with a Mark I. Actually, let's do the Mark I first. So we take a Mark I. We need to merge half of it. Alright, yeah, this is not going to work great because of the belt being crooked. So let's tear all this down. Put you in like that. Alright, so we need... Actually, we need to take 300 off of this and then another 56 off of it. I guess this is an overflow, so we can take the other 56 off of that. So yeah, that's fine. So, you get a merger there, which probably needs to be a priority merger with priority left. And then we have 2 smart splitters in a row, one of which then splits back to there, and the other of which just goes forwards. Alright, so that goes like that. That goes like that. That is 270 because it's a Mark III. That's 30 because it's half of a Mark I, which means that this is 300. And now we just need to set these as left any, center overflow, left any, center overflow. And now we have that. And this is going to take 300 out. Alright, so that is circuit boards, check. Then next we need computers, and we need 600 cable and 1200 plastic. So cable, I believe, is produced down on this floor. And it's produced in 3 batches. So, unfortunately not convenient numbers. So how much is this in total? Alright, so this is 25.833. There's 3 in a batch, and there's 1, 2, 3, 5 batches. So 25.833 times 15 is 387.495. And then I assume these are symmetrical. Times 3 is 1162.485. Oh, but I think this is supposed to be 0.3 repeating, so yeah, 1162.5. Alright, so if we want to get 600 of this, we first need to get this all organized to begin with. And this feels like it's going weirdly. Oh, because it's a burst of 11 every 30 seconds-ish? Yeah, that's super bursty then. Alright, that's fine though. So what we need to do is converge these into just 2 belts. Yeah, okay, so we need to take these out. I guess we can split them up here. Center overflow, right any. And then this one is actually nice and neat on the floor. So you get to be center overflow, left any. And you're going to just start coming over this way, because we know that's what we're going to need to do eventually. Then this one is center overflow, right any, left any. Hang on. That math is not going to check out, is it? I mean, we're going to have 2 even belts, I guess, which is fine, doing it this way. But we're not going to have a full belt, but it will be... Oh, it won't be 600, will it? Because 1162.5 divided by 2, this is more than half. Alright, so we need to... Let's just bring these out past the sinks and do work there where it's more reasonable and less ridiculous looking. Alright, so these come out this way. And let's just make the space. Alright, then these can come out like this, and this can come over there. Alright, we have our 3 belts of 300 some. what is it? 387. So now all we have to do is merge these up properly. So you get a splitter, you get a priority merger. Both of you go into that. Then that gets connected up. Let's write any center overflow. This is priority center. Alright, so that will be all that this needs in order to get up to 780. And, wait, actually, we need to just get 600 out, so let's just do that instead of trying to balance these first and then immediately unbalance them. Let's just go directly to 600. So what we need is either 60 times 10 or 300 times 2 or what, 120 times 5. Let's go 300 times 2 because these belts are each 387. So we should be able to pretty easily do that. In fact, we've just done a 300. So, first of all, you get an overflow going this way for the extra 87 or whatever. Then you get a priority merger followed by 2 smart splitters. And that, they're going to all connect up. Then this one gets a splitter, and it goes back that way, and it goes forward that way. Alright, so that has to be a Mark 1 belt. That has to be a Mark 3 belt. And now we have to do the settings. So this is priority left medium. This is left any center overflow, as is this. Alright, so that should provide 300 out there and 87.5 out there. So then we just have to do this again. And so we get a... Let's figure out where we can place this for efficiency's sake. We can just squeeze it in here without problems, although it's going to be a bit dodgy getting over because we have the output belt to worry about as well. So you get a smart splitter, a priority merger, a smart splitter, a smart splitter, a merger, and a splitter. So then we put the belts in, and then the main line goes down, and then we just copy all the settings across. Actually, does that work for them? It does. Alright, so now we have our 300 belts. And we just have to actually connect this in real quick. Like that. And then take this up and over like so, and then this also goes up and over that way. Alright, so now we have 600 and we have the 500-ish there. So we just take these two belts and merge them up. And that's belt of 600 cable, and then let's just for the sake of having it done, because we're probably going to want it, merge those up into that belt. Alright, so now we have this, which is a belt of 600 cable, and we need to get it up to just there, which is pretty convenient. Let's just pop a floor hole in somewhere, and then start getting up the floors. So this goes over there. That goes over there. Alright, so we need floor hole, like, is that line right? No, it's got to be one further this way, I think. It's that. Alright, so then that floor goes out that way. That comes down there. That's probably facing the wrong way. Alright. We're all in. And now we just have to get this last bit. That goes there. That goes there. And you can do straight mode, just because why not? And then we have that. So, circuit boards, check. Cables, check. Now we need 1200 plastic. Alright. Is that even right? That feels weird for some reason. Is it really as simple as 1200? Okay, these notes were for quick wire and rubber. We don't have any notes for plastic. But yeah, it must be, right? Alright, so we have to bring the plastic up. And I don't have noted how much each of these is, which is unfortunate. We also have to bring it up like 20 layers. Alright, so let's, I guess, get started on bringing the plastic up and then figure out how we're going to get 1200. Actually, is 780 minus 180 an easier way of getting to 600 than 300 times 2? It might be. I don't know. Because the way I'm currently thinking about it is the easiest way to get to 1200 is maybe 600 times 2, which would be annoying because that's just like more of doing the same thing over and over again, which I don't really want to do. I want to come up with some clever new way of getting to that. Alright, so floor holes go up. And now we bring the actual belts up. Up you go. And up you go. And up. And they just keep going. Alright, so this should be pretty simple. Alright. And, oh, I placed that one wrong. Oops. Alright, so this just keeps on going up. Now we're at the almost highest level. We just need to... I guess actually we don't want this to go up there. I think we want this to be down here on the more logistics floor side of things. And also we want power in this general vicinity so that we can fly without falling. Alright, so let's just get these pointed this way. And see, is there 1200 minus 780 is 420. Alright, so that would be, we get a full belt of 780, then we get a full belt of 480, and we take a belt of 60 off. That's pretty convenient. 480 is, I mean, we could do this the same in reverse, obviously. And 270 is going to get into weird numbers. Obviously, we could go 10 belts of 120, but that would just be ridiculous. All right, let's do the full belt situation. So we're going to need some space over here to get it working. All right, so step one is get a full belt. Now, this plastic, I think, isn't even. I think it's like... Let's see. It's 1856 plastic, and I think it's like 600, 600, 656, or something like that. Which, actually, we might be able to just not do any balancing at all if we just pay attention to how the plastic is being produced. Because if we could just get 2 of these belts, which are just naturally belts of 600, then that just works. Alright, so we are going to need to get throughput monitors back on those where they weren't there already. So you get one. You already have one. And we go over here. You get a throughput monitor. So this one is exactly 300. And it is going to merge up with this one, which is also exactly 300. So this one is 600. Then we have this one, which goes into the far right one. And this is also a merging up of 2. So it should also be exactly 600. I don't know. Do I even trust this, though, is the question. And I think the answer is it'll be safer to just not trust it and just do unique splitting. If it works out to accomplishing nothing, then it works out to accomplishing nothing, but it's fun doing load balancing stuff anyways, so it's not like it's horribly complicated. Alright, so step 1, get a full belt. So we need to pick one to be the full one. So you get that. And that. Alright, so actually it would be easier for the center one to be the full one, just because of proximity. So yeah, let's get you in and then feed you, and you get fed from smart splitters from both externals. And then they go like that. Alright, so this is going to be high priority, medium priority left, low priority, medium priority right, low priority left. So it's going to take mostly from this, then any more from that to get up to 780, and then any more from that to get up to 780, which it probably won't need. So these are center, overflow, left, any. Center, overflow, right, any. Alright, so this belt is definitely going to be 780. So we take that out. And you are just going to go on towards that. Then we have these two, which are both going to be somewhat less than 780. Now, this one should never be less than 480, right? Because we're operating under the assumption that each of these are at least 600. So, like, that one is going to be only mildly reduced. So yeah, this is going to be the number we need, I think. So, we're going to get another smart splitter on you. And you can go left, any, center, overflow. So, you take 480 out of that, and okay, so we actually need this to be a priority merger. So this is going to be 480. Cool. Then this outputs forwards to another smart splitter, which is left any, center overflow, and a 60 loop back. So that belt is 480. So we have 480 there, 60 going back around in that loop, and that should mean that the end result is 420 going out here. And okay, I don't like that this isn't doing anything. Normally these just loop around pointlessly, but I guess it's fine. Yeah, it's probably fine. Alright, so now we have these two belts, and we are... Should we split them? Yeah, let's get them merged up, and let's just do that over here. So, do I even have a good way of making a 2-to-2 balancer without any weird crossover stuff? No, this is this is one of the things which is infinitely easier in Factorio because of how balancers work in that game. Alright, so let's just do this and that. Alright, so now we have these. So half of each goes into that. Then we have another one which also gets the other half of each. And then this goes up and over, and this just goes across. And oh, we need to put these belts in. That's obviously important. Alright, so now we have two belts of 600. And we just need to bring those over to where we're setting this up, which is going to be over here. and there. That's perfectly good spacing for those. So now these belts go along this way, and I want them to stay straight like that. Alright, so we're getting them all the way over to there. And then probably up another floor, right? I mean, I don't think we want to go out over this way even more than we currently are. So yeah, we're going to go up another floor for the computer production. There's not... Yeah, there's just not enough space on this floor for that, which is fine. Alright, where is the power grid? Why is it not in this area? There. You get a power pole there. Alright, so this comes around this way. Let's get another sneaky little hover pack power pole there. And then corner around that way. And then we can meet up with the rest of the stuff on the next floor. Alright, so this goes across. Like that. And like that. Alright. Forwards a bit more. Alright, now we make the corner. And while we're making the corner, let's just have these line up more compactly. Like that. And now they're also in the center of the foundation, which is nice. So these then come along this way. And then we just have to bring them up. So we get floor holes like that. And lifts go in. Alright, so those get connected up. And now we have the plastic on this floor, which we're going to ignore because we are just going up a floor. And yeah, we are going to ignore the height from the sinks and just build this, which will be a logistics floor. So we're going to have that, and then we're going to have another two, and then we're going to have the main floor. And we just have to avoid this corner exactly because of the sink, and build out a bunch of foundations here. Although we might actually end up blueprinting stuff. So let's see. So you are a computer. Circuit boards, cable, plastic, 2.5 a minute. We need 75. 75 divided by 2.5 is 30. Alright, that's enough that I want to blueprint that. Although, I mean, we're going to be able to fit like 2 manufacturers in at most, I think. So let's get over here and do that. And we're also going to want to do the logistics floor blueprint trick. So put that in. And we then fill all this floor in. And we really hope the manufacturers fit, because if they don't, that's gonna suck. Alright, they do fit vertically, and they should fit... Yeah, they have plenty of space, actually. I don't know why I was worried. I was thinking of, like, particle accelerators or something that are just really, really big and take up, like, most of a blueprint by themselves. Alright, so let's pop you in there and there. Alright, so then we merge up that. And these are computers, so we only need 75, so we can actually have the main line be Mark II here, just for style purposes, of having it not be faster than it needs to be. And then, I mean, the numbers all work out quite nicely for everything here. So we're going to set those as computers, and then we have to do the actual splitting itself. So we need 2 floor holes and 1 on this level. Okay, no, don't do that. Just go into the thing. Like that, and that, and that, and that. Alright, so then we just need a splitter here, which I would imagine would go something like that. And then just into those 2. I don't think this has to be anything fancy. We're not going to do speed balancing at all. Just 1 to 2. And we're going to need to place 15 of these, which will be 3 rows of 5. Alright, so let's get a power line in. Okay, I actually don't like that this leaves that empty gap there. I'm just going to have this go into that one, so that we use the leftmost 3 of the machine in all cases. Alright, so we have power line, we have floor holes, so now we have to go down here and get all of this stuff in. So half of these point this way, the other half point this way. And we get just a nice simple splitter in. Like that, and same thing again in there, and like that. Alright, so then when we want to build this, we're just going to have to attach all of these up, and it should be good. Alright, yeah, that should be that. So let's call this computers, and save and clear. And now we can fly up and start building these, although we are going to have to remove that extra floor we put in there because we actually wanted the blueprint to be doing the building of that. So let's be a bit careful to only grab stuff on that level. And there it goes. Alright. So, instead we build out this area, which is the logistics floor. And we're going to need a good amount of space here. Alright, that should be enough for a start at least. We're going to need more, but... Alright, so this goes in. Angle it this way. Line it up like that. Oh, we left the wall in the blueprint. That's fine, I guess. It's not really hurting anything. Alright, so that's the first one in, and then we go blueprint auto connect mode. That's the second. Oh, I also forgot to make these actually auto connect properly. Ah, well. It's not really worth fixing. It'll be quicker to just connect them up. We got most of the hard work done anyways. Missing modular frames. Was not expecting that. Was not expecting that. Now I'd imagine this is another case of we have plenty, but it's all being connected up via a one-speed thing, a tier 1 belt or whatever. So we're getting 60 a minute. How much is this blueprint? 53, so we can theoretically place like one of these blueprints a minute. Or no, it's 40, so yeah, that should be fine. We have one full row in, we only need another couple. And we also have plenty of work to do with connecting all this stuff up. So let's get that work done now for this first row. And this sink, we might have to push it like a square or two back. But maybe not. So this is 1 to 5 again. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to move this sink back a little bit. Alright, so you go back this way. And get built in. Alright, you line up like that. So out you go. And across. And power line connection. Alright, that's all good. So now we have this space here to do our balancing and such. And let's continue filling up on spare modular frames every so often. Alright, so first thing we need is a tiny bit more space even. Need that. And a 1 to 5 balancer, which goes there. And okay, yeah, this is gonna need more horizontal space than the previous ones have, because we need to fit multiple of these balancers in. Although actually we might be able to, yeah, so we can probably make it compact enough by having the others start over there. I think, yeah, that should work. Alright, so we have this, and first thing we need is make it fast. When I get Mark 6 belts, I'm just gonna go through and make all of these blueprints, but with Mark 6 belts instead. Alright, so this one, let's see, there's 10, 20, and 40. Let's have this lower one be the plastic, just because that seems like a reasonable thing to do. The plastic is going to need a bit of extra work to balance it from 2 to 3. So if that's 40, then these are each 80, which means that we need these to all be 120. And then the belts come along and go in. Alright, so then that has to expand along that way. Let's grab what we'll probably have enough modular frames now that I'm going to stop grabbing them. So this all goes in. Grab these last two. And send them along. And then that goes into that one, and this one comes a little bit further across. And goes into there. Alright, so we have batches of 600, we need batches of 400, which we can do pretty easily. I mean, we just have to do the 2 to 3 balancer again, which we have. We know it works as long as we fix that one bug. So let's, I guess, squeeze that in here. 2 to 3 splitter. Oh, I forgot how wide it is. It has to be this wide. There's really not any way around that. Alright, we can squeeze it back in here and have the outputs just go directly up. That should give enough space for these. Alright, so then that goes into both of those. That belt gets to go real fast. And then we just have to bring those 3 up. And let's also get floor beneath it, like that. Alright, so that is all like that. And now we need 1 and 2 and 3. So then these go into those. Through the power of layer C short belts. And then they come up here. And one of them just goes into that. Alright, so that is plastic. Check. And okay, so we want this. We want all the plastic to be input on this side for convenience sake. So that means we need to bring the cables probably over all the way to the other side, which I guess we just gonna have to do. I don't think there's any especially clever spot to put them that would help with that. We're just gonna have to go up this level. And is that wrong? That, yeah, no, that does snap in. And then we have to make it go fast. And then output. Alright, so this is gonna have to go... Okay, wait. Because this space is where these are gonna be. So these are gonna be heading up to there. What is... Yeah, so that goes up to there. And then this is going to come past and to the equivalent of this for the next row over. Okay, this is not getting anywhere near enough. Okay, that was also not Mark V, so that was the problem. Alright, so we have all that. Now that that is all in, this one, the cables can go around the other way and know that they're not going to be in the way of anything. So then this circles around, and we go this way. Alright, so the cables, the reason the cables have to get over here is so that we can fit all of this in compactly. So we can feed the manifolds from, or not, they're not manifolds. We can feed the balancers from alternate sides, which should allow them to all squeeze together in without taking up extra space. Alright, so this then goes out to there. And we need to fit floor in for all of this. Okay, that one didn't get dragged out far enough. The ceilings do weird stuff with that sometimes. Alright, then this goes in there. And cable is 20 each, which means that each of these needs to be 40, which means Mark 1 is fine there. Alright, so this first one needs to be rebuilt to fit like that. And then we are probably going to need the internal bits to be fast. Like that. Alright, so that is in. That goes along. Then these ones come forwards. 1 and 2 and 3. So then that curves into that. And these two come forwards a little bit more. Now we need that spacing. You go into there. And you come along and into there. Alright. So that is cable supplied to all the machines. And then finally we just need to get the circuit boards up on this level, split them into 3. Oh, actually, we have to split the cable into 3. It's very simple, fortunately. The old 1 to 3 splitter is not exactly the world's most complicated contraption. So we get conveyor belt splitter there, and wait, no, we actually don't want that. We want that one, so that one and that one can continue on. And we connect the belts back up, and that's that. So now we have to head back over to here for the circuit boards. Alright, circuit boards, where are you? So circuit boards are down here. Alright, yeah, we want to bring these up over here, just a little bit past all of the other stuff that's going on. And there we go. So now we have this, and the circuit boards come out there. And in they go. Alright, so now we just have our good old 1 to 3 splitter, which will split it into a couple of groups. And then we just need a balancer, which goes in here. And this is what, 15, 45. Alright, no, this is how much of these is it? Oh, it's 300, right? 300 circuit boards, which means each of these is 10, which means a third of that is 100. So this whole thing only needs to be Mark II. So let's have the internals be Mark III for security's sake, so that no weird stuff happens there. And then all of those outputs just need to be Mark I. You go in there. And then we grab you and send you in there. Alright. So now we just connect all of these guys up. And bring the remaining ones forwards. And in. And this one has to go a little bit more. So as far as the belts can carry them. And then that goes in there. And this comes in and goes there. Alright, so that is row 1. All finished and hooked up. The only thing left would be the power, which I don't want to do just yet. So, now we get the next row in, which... Okay, we actually don't need that much space underneath this because both of these are going to fit underneath the existing manufacturer, so we just need the space... We are going to need the space for the 1 to 5 splitter on this side. So let's get over there to make sure that we know how much space it takes and give it enough. Alright, so this takes up, what, that's half of a block, 1 block, 2 blocks. So we want to give it 3 blocks, basically. So we have 3 blocks, and then the next one starts there. So let's get all of this foundation in. So much concrete. So much concrete. Alright, so that is the 3 blocks forwards. So now we just have to get this lined up like that. Wait, no, that gives us half a block. Okay, yeah, that gives us half a block, which means this should fit. It's going to be compact, but that's good. We want it to be compact. So let's just build it and put in the balancer immediately to just verify that it's going to fit. Alright, so that is plenty of room. Yeah, that's plenty of room. Alright. And then that can just go into there and be fine. Alright, while we're setting that up, let's get the last row in. So we leave 2 space. And then we need to expand this bit out. And this is going to need a whole bunch of foundations underneath of it. Like that. And then this blueprint goes here. So that's all lined up with everything. We have the space left over, and there we go. So that goes in, and then we fill in some foundations there. Put in this 1 to 5 balancer, and connect that first one in. Alright, so now we have sort of the template for our 3 rows. What we can do now is put the second row fully in. Alright, so you go to blueprint mode. I guess auto connect mode doesn't help me here. So that is 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then the final row is 1, 2, 3. Oh, missing cables. Now I happen to know where I can find a lot of cables. We're producing them in this very factory. But we can just set stuff up briefly. It's fine to run out of those now when we're 99% done with them, at least for this phase. But that is probably another thing where we're going to have to go back and verify that we have fast enough dimensional storage for. And in fact, at some point I should probably just like comb through the old factory and make sure that everything is all good. Just try to get them all at once. Alright, so then these come forwards and go in there, and then this last one goes in there. Alright, so that is that, and then we should have cables recovered unless something has gone very wrong. Alright, only to place an additional one, but that's getting close. We need one more. Should take another minute or so. Alright, so the top row is going to be mostly connected in. We just need to send you into that. And then get you to go across and into that. Alright, so let's just finish off the top row real quick while I'm up here. So these come over this way. And then we're going to have to go down and deal with the bottom row pretty soon. Alright, so then that goes into there. And then we have to bring the last one across, put it in the thing that it's meant to connect to, and then connect it up. Blueprints, computers, in you go. And now the amount of cables we have is no longer relevant. We just have to bring this over here, and in we go. So the circuit boards are not exactly the quickest thing in the world, but they're getting across eventually. Alright, and that is the top floor of this done. Now we drop down. And we have to get all of this stuff connected up. Alright, so what was I doing? Right, so this plastic goes to there. And it's 80 each, right? Because these are 40, and then each of these is 2. Yeah, so these all need to be Mark IIs. And I think preferably this would be further over that way. But it's fine as is. So we're just going to bring all these over like that. So this all does that. And then the belts go forwards. And they slide over to not take up space in the middle, which I don't think will be relevant here, but theoretically could have been. Alright, so this expands out. And forward all the belts go. That's in, and one more for this batch of plastic. There we go. Alright, so let's finish putting this floor in. Or at least most of it. Alright, the floor is going in. And we missed a bit of a row in there. Alright, so now we can get this all floored up. And we should be almost ready. Just have to connect a little bit more up. So, you get a balancer, which goes in there, and does cables, which is going to be 40 each. So the Mark I belts here are just fine. And these belts all come along like this. And the belts go forwards. Gosh, manufacturers are so enormous. They take up like a ridiculous amount of space. Alright, and that is in. It's going to take a good long while for the cables to make it across all of these Mark I belts, but they'll make it eventually. And also, I think I need to... Did I connect that up to a cable belt? Actually, I don't think I did. I definitely did not. Alright. Cool. So we head back here. And this comes forwards and in. And then this is the last one. And it is going to go a lot forwards. And we need to make sure that these belts are all fast enough. Like that. So that should be a solid supply of cables for that. And then while we're over here, let's get this last bit of cables in, and then we can cross over to do the plastic on the other side. So we get the foundations and our 1 to 5 balancer. Which can just go like that. Honestly, we have plenty of space. Okay, then that connects in. And all of these get upgraded. Like that. Alright, so now we just have to take these belts forward. So you go there, and then the rest of these are going to have to meet up, like 1 and 2 and 3. Alright, so let's get this foundation in and fill in that little gap, and may as well fill it in on this side too while we're filling in foundations. Alright, now the rest of these belts just go forwards. And you go into there. And you come a bit further up and go into there. Alright. So that's cable. And we can see here it's almost made it. So now we just have the plastic. So we've done this row, we've done this row, we have one more row left to do. And you get a 1 to 5 balancer in here. And just place like that. So then that belt comes along to there. All of these are going to need to get upgraded. This one is actually pretty fast. It's like 400 total. And then these are all going to need to be Mark II belts because they're moving 80 each. And then we put all this stuff in. So these, that's close enough. It's not like it's a huge deal that this one's a tiny bit ahead. That goes in. These ones go forwards. And that goes in there. This one goes in there. Alright. So that should be everything connected up. And now, the only thing we need to do is, first of all, get these attached together. Then we have to get the sinks in, and then we just have to hook up the power lines. So we are pretty close to there for the computers. Just the final touches on this, and then we can move on to the next thing, which I guess will be, well, it'll be either AI limiters or high-speed connectors. But we'll see what that is in a moment. It'll be based on like whatever is more convenient, basically. Although I don't think there's going to be much of a difference in convenience. Alright, so the bad news is that this circuit board belt here is very much in the way. Okay, I can fix that actually. I think. So we take you out. We're just going to do this splitting and most of the main transport down here. Alright, so these belts all go away, as does this. And now you are going to go directly up to, like, is that going to snap in? No, it has to be further back. Alright, so now that is in, and it is just feeding that. Okay, but no, we messed that up again, because we want this one to be the one doing that output. So you go in, and you come up, and out, and into the balancer. Alright, so now these two are going to go over this way. And we need one to be lined up with this, so I guess here. We need it to be far enough back that it's not going to get in the way of the plastic belts. Is the main limitation there. So then we can take that one out. And you aren't going to be in the way regardless. We can just pop you in there. And connect that up. Alright, so this comes down to there. This belt comes out and connects back to that. Then we just have to get this last one all the way over. So there you go. Ooh, no, there you go. You come over this way, and that goes there, and connected. Alright, so now that that isn't on this floor, we can much more conveniently use this floor for merging up the computers. So this belt goes around this way. We are going to have to go a bit further back. We're going to have to go back to here in order to get all the way around them. So that goes there. Then this gets a merger, which apparently isn't quite lined up right. Be like that, I think. Yes, like that. And then we go a little bit further. This has to go in there. And now we can just make a spot for an awesome sink. And a splitter going into it, like that, and then forwards like that. That's going to be center overflow right any, probably, although we might end up using left output, not really expecting to. Alright, so now everything should be all hooked up. So now we just have to run along these, get power attached, and then once these are all connected up together, we throw them all onto the grid, and we see what happens. There we go. Alright, so that should be all of those attached up. Now we just need... Sure, that works. So now they're all showing yellow, and they should all fill up with resources, and plastic should be the last one to go. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, done. Alright. So we are now producing computers. And it's going to be another 12 seconds before they start coming out of the machines. And then a little bit longer than that until we can start calculating if we're producing all that we need to. Okay, why are you still yellow? How are you slower to get plastic than everything else? That makes very little sense. Is there some weird stuff going with the plastic here? There shouldn't be. Unless... Oh, I see what happened. This balancer never got upgraded properly. So we need to do that. You are set properly, as are you. So yeah, the problem with that one was that it was just the closest one to the balancer, which meant it was the first one to run out when the balancer started acting weird. The rest of these had a little bit of buffer on the belts already. Alright, so that is just going to be... Yeah, so this is filtering through and it should be fixed. Although this looks like it's 30 a minute and not 40. This looks a lot like it's 50%. Alright, that might be an issue. We might have calculated the plastic wrong somewhere. But we are producing computers. And let's get a throughput monitor. And in you go. Should be 75. And it's not going to be 75, but it should be. Alright, so these close ones are looking good on plastic now. I mean, if they can get through a full cycle. So now it might just be that this is sort of just slowly trickled its way down here. And so the fix also has to slowly trickle its way down. Yeah, I mean, this looks fine to me. It looks about the same as the other one. Alright, so I think that should be computers done. If we go over here, we're looking at 69, nice. Okay, we're not quite, obviously it's going to take some time for this to all get properly set up, because it's going to be feeling the effects of the lowered production until the higher production makes it here from all the way over there, which could be a little bit of time, but it is up to 72, 73-ish. And it does seem to be working. I mean, I'm looking and I don't see yellow lights, at least at the moment. So if it's broken in a way which isn't immediately obvious, which is the worst way to be broken, but that's fine. So that's still doing all that. Yeah, standard points until the next coupon is a gazillion. It's an absolutely massive number. But we can, at some point, go around and start murdering animals to get more coupons that way. And that, I mean, it'll probably get us a decent chunk. I don't know if it'll get us enough to like get over the edge to the golden nut or anything, but you know, if we need an extra 50 or 60, we can probably manage that. I don't know exactly, but we can do lots of summer sloop chains for that if we need to. Alright, it showed 76 there. Now it's showing 75. Alright, I mean, it looks good to me for now. Alright, so with computers done, that is a major milestone. So now we need the AI limiters and the high-speed connectors. So, AI limiters. We need 37.5 of those, and they are going to be quick wire and plastic. Alright, so we need 10 times this. So we need 562.5 quick wire and 131.25 plastic. Alright, bit of a weird number of plastic, but that's fine. And then the high-speed connectors are an absolute menace, right? We need 56.25 of these, which means we need 3,150 quick wire, 562.5 cable, and 56.25 circuit boards. Alright, let's just start on the AI limiters next. Leave the high-speed connectors for last. That seems reasonable. So we just need to grab quick wire and plastic. And how much quick wire is it versus how much have we used? And same question for plastic. So this is 3.75. So we're going to need 131.25 plastic. And we have 1,200 here. So this will set us to 1,300 plastic total. And 562.5 quick wire is obviously not a significant amount. So yeah, we still have plastic to go, we still have quick wire to go. But I do have these signs here, right? The AI limiter, I was going to be balancing the quick wire with 480 plus 60 plus 22. Oh, is that 22.5? Yes. And then that is 60 times 3/4 divided by 2. Alright, so quick wire should be a bit of balancing needed, but nothing crazy. And then the plastic we're going to have to also figure out. Alright, so where is my quick wire supply? I imagine a lot of it is already in use. Yeah, that's what I was doing here. That's why I needed to do that math. So we actually have the quick wire coming from over here. And, right, coming from these belts. And we've only tapped a tiny amount of it so far, because of how absolutely massive the amount going to the high-speed connectors is. And we're going to continue grabbing a tiny amount of quick wire. Alright, so how much is this again? I've forgotten. It's been 5 seconds since I last checked. So this is going to be 562.5 quick wire. 562.5, and see, we're already grabbing some from this belt. So this belt is... Oh, these two belts are connected. But it should probably be fine. Let's just grab quick wire from this belt, just to be sure. Because this will definitely... We've set this up to be 780. So this will definitely be at least 562 quick wire. And that's what's important. So let's get a smart splitter onto you, which is center overflow left any. And then we take this out. So we need this to get around all of the rest of this mayhem, and we also need to do the balancing. So we can do the balancing in this space and then send the output over this way. Alright, so we have 480 plus 60 plus 22.5. So, we start by grabbing 480 and 60. So these are both going to be left any center overflow. And these two merge together like that. Alright, so this is 540. Cool, we have that. I actually don't want to drag that because I don't know exactly where it's going. So now we need to get the 22.5, which is 60 divided by 4. Take 3 of those fourths, split them in 2. Alright, so we have 60 there. Wait, no, actually we need to have this, I think. And we're also going to need some extra space. So that's going to be 60. And then we divide it into fourths. So one of those fourths just goes back and does nothing. Like so. The other 3 go forwards and merge up into that. So this is 3/4. It's 45, right? Because we have 60 coming in, 60 going through there. That's 15, yes. So this is 45. Then we split the 45 in half to 22.5. One of those batches of 22.5 can curve around into that. And that's still going to work, right? Yes. Okay, is this... That goes like that. And then this, I guess this can just go straight forwards, which means that this doesn't have to go out quite as far. So, you know, mild improvements like that. And then that is also medium priority. And we have, at the end of the day, 22.5. Alright, so then this is 540, which we do need this to come around here and merge up with that. And that is our 562.5 quick wire. As soon as we get this across, yes, that has to connect across. And then it'll all start chaining across and we'll set up. Alright, so 562.5 there. And then we're going to have to just bring this out and even further. It has to go really far out to be out of the way of all this stuff above us. Out to here is good. And let's just bring all of the floors over as well so that it can floor hole through them. And there and there. Okay, that is a lot of floor holes that we're going to have. And we're going to have even one more, because... Do we... Actually, can we maybe fit this on this floor? I'll have to investigate, but probably not. Okay, no, that one doesn't need a floor hole, because this is the bottom floor. Alright, so then that goes in. And we just have to take our belt across. And now we go up. Up we go. Through a bunch of little floor holes, which probably won't ever be important. Like, we probably could have lifted this directly, but I do prefer to have them stop at each floor in case we need to expand stuff later. Alright, so we don't have much space over here, unless we don't need many of these, actually. 37.5 divided by 8. 37.5 divided by 8 is 5. Okay, we can squeeze in 5 assemblers over here. So we do technically go out this far. Down far below for the refineries. Alright, so yeah, we can squeeze this on this floor and not need an additional one, which is good because this is already a hilariously tall factory. Alright, so we have the quick wire. And it's going to come out this way. So now we just need the plastic. And how much plastic do we need? I think not that much. So this would be 3.75, 131.25 plastic. Alright, so how much is that? Did I ever figure out how we were doing that splitting? Or am I going to have to wing it and figure it out here? Let's see, if I did the math anywhere, it would have been over in this batch here, right? I think I had this. No, I did it for quick wire and rubber. Alright, so 131.25 plastic. We're using 1200 currently. And we have 1856. So, alright, we're going to need to do some crazy balancing for this. And I think we're just going to have to balance it. Unless we can overflow this. Actually, what's the other thing that needs plastic? Is it just the supercomputers themselves? Yes. So this is 525 plastic there, which is very achievable. It's 480 plus 45, which is easy. And let's see here. 1200 plus 525 plus 131.25 is 1856.25. So we don't have to do this. We can just overflow it, which is easy enough. So where is the rest of the plastic? It's all over here. And is that good enough? I'm definitely not 100% confident that that's good enough. I might have broken something there. Oh yeah, that was definitely intentional, wasn't it? Okay. Let's put that back to whatever it was, maybe? What was this doing? So we have 780 and... oh, 480? Okay. Yeah. General rule, which I should know, is to not randomly change belts in the middle of things just because they feel wrong. This is supposed to be this way. This is supposed to be a lot less than this. Alright, anyways. Now we have some spare output to deal with. So we have a center overflow there and a center overflow there. So, is this going to be enough? Probably. Or no, maybe not. It'll probably be fine. Just keeping track of where all of the stuff is that we've been using. I think there should be 131 left on this belt. Although it actually looks like it's going pretty fast. No, let's not risk it. Let's take it from this, which is clearly much slower. Or we could just see. So that's 1200 going out that way. 1856 minus 1200 is 656. So, okay, that makes it easy. We can merge these two up. And I have to do a bit of tight belting there. So now this is our plastic belt, and that's going to be right overflow. Alright, so this comes along, and I imagine we're probably, just based on how we've been doing this, we're probably going to want both of these over this way anyways. Alright, so let's bring this belt all the way over here. And, okay, a little bit further like that, and then we want to turn it around here. But actually, no, we don't want to turn it around there. Actually, we want it to just continue going straight for a little bit. We need to get it up to over here. So this gets filled in. Then this also gets filled in. And this can just come across like that, probably. And then this comes over this way. And then over that way. Alright, so now that can make that corner and start climbing this giant tower. Alright, so now we just have to connect this down. And curve that way. And connect it up. Alright, so we have plastic here. And now we just need to make a smart splitter with center overflow right any. So that goes there, and then this will just go over here somewhere to wherever it needs to be for high-speed connectors. Or, no, not the high-speed connectors, the supercomputers, actually. Alright, so this goes a little bit further. And now we have these two here. So we need to put 5-ish assemblers in. Not even manufacturers, just good old-fashioned assemblers. Right, so AI limiters. We're doing plastic AI limiters, and they're 8 a minute. 37.5 divided by 8 is 4.68. Alright, so assemblers go in, and oh, both of these are on this level. Alright, quick wire doesn't go all the way up then. We're going to use this logistics floor for the quick wire, and that'll be fine. Alright, so assembler 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And these are set to... How do I forget what I'm doing every 30 seconds? Plastic AI limiters. So this is 37.5 divided by 5? Yes, 7.5. That seems probably correct. So we paste that across, including to this last one. And we need to get power back here. Alright, so you get upgraded and be in this general vicinity. Alright, now we just have to do our 1 to 5 splitters like we've been doing constantly throughout this game. In you go. And yeah, we're going to do it this way, feeding from the side. I don't know why, but I just think it feels better for whatever reason. Alright, then those all go like that. And yeah, that's going to be the plastic, which goes in there. And we need to upgrade these bits, but probably not the other ones. I actually wonder if having this one faster output makes a difference. I don't think it does, but it might. It's outputting 60 to each of these anyways, so it doesn't really matter. Alright, so now we just have to get in all the floor holes and lifts down for that. Oh, that one moved at the last minute before I placed it. And this is going to be the quick wire, which means it needs to be Mark II belts. Alright, so those all go into there. Then we drop down this way and almost fall to our death because there's apparently no power anywhere over here. Alright. Let's get a power line there. Alright. So, this just needs a 1 to 5 balancer. And oh, we didn't need to go over there at all because all the machines are over this way. Right. Alright. So this all goes in. We get plenty of space. And then we start dragging these down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright, so now we get that. Actually, do I want that? No, I think I want this to... Is this going to fit? It's not going to fit. Shoot. Alright. We can solve that by just having this come up over this way. And we're going to need to just shift this over a little bit. Which is not a big deal. So that goes like that. And the quick wire goes up. Now we have enough space that we can pretty easily jam a 1 to 5 balancer in. And that goes into there. Okay, now this is all going to need to be upgraded. There. And there. And the return. And then these all need to be Mark IIs to handle the 112 demand. And then they just go straight across into those. Alright. So that is that. And we're just going to let those fill up a little bit. And in the meantime, let's get power lines connected. And outputs. So these all merge up into here. And these are not high outputs, right? It's 37.5 total, so we can use Mark 1 belts. I love using Mark 1 belts. It's so satisfying watching things move slowly and know that it's like exactly as fast as it needs to be. Alright, so now we just get a little bit of space, and we need a sink like that, and a smart splitter, which is center, overflow, right, any, and the belt goes across, and the sink gets powered up, and then the whole line gets powered up. Alright, so that's AI limiters done. And we're going to be feeding obviously more plastic than we need for the moment until the supercomputers get balanced in, and then it'll even out. And I suppose technically we could do that immediately just so that the numbers all work. Yeah, let's do that. So this has to be 525. And we can fix that just with a sink. So we have a splitter which takes out 480. We have a splitter which takes out 60. Oh wait, we have to have the whole priority merger set up for this. The splitter which takes 60 out. Then this has to split again and send 15 back. And let's see, those all have to be Mark 1s. So it sends 15 back, and then the rest of it forwards. So that is 45. So this is going to be center, overflow, right, any, which will be this. And then we get another merger in there. So then those all connect up. And we have a sink, which is unfortunately going to have to be slightly off-center, but that's fine. So then that just smart splitters into a sink, like so. And the sink is center overflow write any, and the smart splitter gets powered up. Alright, so now we attach that in, and that should take 525 out, and we can put a throughput monitor on there, make sure that that's actually what's happening. So we have 480 going around this way, then we have 60 on that belt, 30 and 30, and that's 15. 30 plus 15 is 45 on that belt. So yes, this is 525, which means that this should be the 131.25 that it's supposed to be. And yeah, I guess now we just chill and see if that works. This is cycling around pretty quick. So this has how much free space? So there's like another 50-ish free space in each of these. And they're accepting 60 a minute currently. So yeah, it's definitely slowing down now and should reach the intended rate. Alright, so that is that. And it's just taken a little bit. These belts still look mostly full, but it's hard to tell whether these spaces are just like the intended spaces or not. But I think that at this point it is outputting half full belts. Alright, so the computer output is comfy at 76. The AI limiter output, let's get a throughput monitor on you. And there should, unless there's input shortages, obviously, there should be no real way of this getting messed up. And it doesn't look like there's input shortages. I mean, this all looks fine. The quick wire we have balanced properly, so that should be fine, and then the plastic is finally settling down. Alright, so let's set the plastic back and see what happens. So, now that that's been done, this should start running immediately, and it should be exact. If this isn't exact, it means that there's a plastic shortage somewhere. Alright, so we failed that cycle, but it might just be working its way back around to being correct this cycle. Alright, this cycle we're looking better. We're up to 15-ish. Now, what about this cycle? $12, $13, $14. Alright, so I think it's either correct or like 99% of the way there, which is pretty good for me. So that is going to run, and alright, so we are at a pretty good stopping point now. We've just finished off the AI limiters and the computers, and I think we did stuff down here today as well. Oh, we mostly just worked with fixing the circuit boards and everything. So I think we're going to wrap up there for today. Looks like a teensy bit early maybe, but we're at such a good stopping point that I don't really like to stop in the middle of things. So I think we're going to wind up here for today. Thanks for hanging out. Next time we are going to be just doing the high-speed connectors and then the supercomputers themselves, and then we'll be done with this giant project. So make sure to stop by for that. That will be on Friday. So if you're interested in that, I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time, alternating between Satisfactory and Factorio. I do Factorio on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so if you like fighting biters and stuff, then you can stop by then. And otherwise, I'll be back on Friday. And that's about it. Make sure to follow so that you know when I'm live. And I will see you guys next